morning, Kathy here from KathysKuteKreations. Today we are going to work on a memory quilt which is made up of t-shirts. And I believe I have one sweatshirt and then one regular shirt. And when I say regular, it's not t-shirt fabric, it's cotton. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make it. We'll do a little bit of a follow along. First off, I'm going to use scissors to cut the t-shirts, and how I'm going to do it. I have my first t-shirt here and I'll show you in a minute, but I want to show you what I'm going to be using for my interfacing. And all right, so first off, so it's all folded up. You cannot iron it, okay? Because once you iron it, you've adhered it. So it looks like this. And this package, which is June Taylor. Oh wait. And it is, this size right here is between 58 to 60 inches by 72 inches. So all I'm going to do is I will open it up and cut it. And let me see if you can see. This is the side that has a little bit of a glistering. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it is rough on this side and smooth on this side. Okay. It is 100% cotton, woven interfacing. And what it does, because there is no give on it, okay, that's why it stabilizes your fabric. Now let me show you my first shirt. So I try to keep this as flat as I can. I smooth it out because, like I said, you cannot iron this. There's my t-shirt. And the easiest way to do this, okay, because now remember, in a previous video when I talked about this, this is going to have, it's going to be quilt as we go. All right, so first off, what I'm going to do, and there's different ways to do this, there's no right or wrong way. What I'm doing is I'm going to cut out, I'm going up the seam here. Let me make sure that, yeah, you can see it. Okay, and what I'm doing is just hand cutting it out. This is not the perfect part. I'm going up to here. Because I believe I'm going to make a 3/8 inch seam. I'm going to go, and what I'm trying to do is, because remember now, not only do you want to cut out whatever your saying is on your shirt, you want to make sure that you have enough fabric around it, because when you go to sew it, if you were to cut, let's say that you cut right here, you're not allowing yourself a seam, and that's what you need, a seam to put it together. Sometimes you're going to want extra around it, and sometimes you're not. So it's just going to be depending on whatever your shirt is and what you're doing for your t-shirt. And this has got a lot of stretch in it. So that's the reason that I'm doing the stabilizer. Now I do have the one fabric, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, the shirt that is not this kind of fabric. Now the thing about this memory quilt, okay, here's the back, and then here's my front piece. And then all I've got to decide is how I want it. Okay, so you can mark it. For example, I have my ruler here. Here's my one. This is what I'm looking at on the ruler. So, and because I can see through my ruler, I can tell, okay, here's my one going this way. So I'm looking at the, I'm going to call it a Moffat. That's not what it is. It's the design here. And decide, for example, this is the 1 inch line. So if I want to have it an inch all the way around, which in my case gives me extra fabric, because you can always cut it down and make it smaller, but you can't make it larger. Okay. And that's what you got to keep in mind. So I can mark this fabric because I want to know where exactly I'm cutting it. So let's say I want 1 inch. Always make it bigger than you need it. So here I've marked it. That's 1 inch. And this is just to give me an idea of what I'm looking at to begin with. Okay, it's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. I'm going to the outer, whatever the outer edge is. Now remember, this is erasable. So first off, I can't go I can't go and iron this fabric, okay? Because if I do, I'm going to lose my mark. So keep that in mind when you mark this. All right? So at this stage, I have two choices, which I marked it, okay? I've already washed all this fabric. I don't have the back fabric picked out at this moment. I'm waiting on it because I've gone through my stash, not my buckets now, but just my stash that's on the wall and everything. And I don't really see what I want. But I did see something online. I don't know if they have it at a store. I'm going to go ahead and go out and shop today and see if I find something. And what I have found is I want to use, for the backing now, because I have not discussed what the backing is. This is me doing it the way that I want to do it. I've got the freedom to put whatever I want on it. And I want to put a busy, and when I say busy, I want something, let me see if I can find, okay, here we go. Now, keeping in mind, most of my fabric for this quilt on the top is black, okay? All right, so this is a busy fabric here. That right there is busy, and this is busy, and then I'm going to show you something that's not busy so that you have a comparison. So these two kinds of fabric are busy, so there's a lot going on in the background, okay? Let's see, do I have something that's not so busy that you have an idea? I don't have too much stuff that's not busy here. Let's go with a plain. I was going to say, the only thing I have. All right, so this fabric, as comparison, is not busy. Okay, do you see why I say this isn't busy? Now, the color has a lot to do with it too. If you go, I'm going to try to use, and this is going to be the first time I've used it, the monofilament thread. I don't know if y'all know what that is. Let me get a spool of that and show you what I'm talking about. That is very tricky to quilt with, and I'm undecided at this point whether to use that thread or just go with the cotton thread. Alrighty, here is my thread, and it's through Superior Threads. If you can see it without a glare on it. There we go. That's what I'm going to be using. There's a certain way that you've got to put it on the bobbin. When I get ready to put it on the bobbin, I will show you how I do it. I will do a test run with like a piece of this fabric here first. So I'll cut this out and do it. But anyway, the reason for using the busy fabric, which is what I call this on the back side, is so that when whatever you quilt, and my quilt as you go is per block. So I will take this block, I will put my fusible on it. I will cut out my batting. You can use any batting you want. I'm using 100% cotton. And then I will have the back fabric a little bit bigger than this top. And the only reason for a little bit bigger is because, you know, when you quilt, it's going to squeeze in a little bit, so you'll have less. So that when I'm all finished, I'll have one block. It will be totally sandwiched. It will be totally quilted. I will set it aside. I will do every single block the same way. Now, not the same design. Each block will probably have a different design. Okay, so I will go in between here on this one and on the outside. Now I'm not going to make it so that my quilting is real dense. I want my quilting spread out a little bit because I want this blanket to be used for warmth. If you quilt everything super duper close and your stitches are like this far apart, then you have less warmth when it comes to a blanket. The quilt that I did downstairs that I keep on my couch is really close knit. I call that my summer quilt. It's almost like having a couple of sheets on you and that's it. It's not a quilt that was made to be underneath when it got cold outside. So I'm just giving you an idea of what I'm talking about. Now, to make this, and I will show this as I go along, I'm trying to give you an idea of the equipment that I'm using. So I'm going to use, this is Roxanne Glue Base It. That's what it's called. It's just a temporary basing. I'm going to use that. I'm going to use these clover pins. Now these are, I'll put it up for you so you can see it. You don't have to use this. You can use straight pins if you want, but I find that if I use this, then it helps, and I'll show you. And this involves making the sashing, and I have tools that I have purchased to make the sashing. I will show you all of that when I get to it, and I'll show you up at the ironing board how it works. You can buy them online. I bought, I'm going to say, a more expensive set. Okay, so this is the Sasher Tool. Okay, And like I said, I got it. And I'll tell you where I bought all of this stuff if you guys want to do it. It is outside of the United States. I don't know. Pauline, I can't think of her last name right offhand. I'm horrible with names. I'm sorry. But she has sets of sashers and all that. And I've already had all of this because I've always wanted to make a T-shirt quilt. But I don't really like the process of having an entire huge quilt underneath my sewing machine. All right, so going forward here. Let's move this. Oh, so let me real quick tell you this. So if you use the busy fabric, which is what I'm calling it, you won't even see the stitching on the back. If you use something like this, you'll see the stitching, okay? One of the reasons to use the monopoly thread is because it's practically invisible on the other side. But if you can't, or you want to use a colored thread, then you're going to see it. And I'm not going with a light color anyway. I'm actually going to go with a darker color because that whole, like I said, that whole quilt is going to be black. I don't want to put a white on the back of it. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to smooth it out, and I'm going to cut it based on my marks. So I'll just take a full-size ruler when it comes to doing the marking on it and go from there. So I will mark it up quite a bit. And what I'll do is, let's see, I think what I'm going to do is just go across here, do my 1 inch. Let's go this way. Here's my 1 inch, like that, and make it as straight as I can based on this. And then I will just mark the whole thing because, like I said, I'm going to end up cutting it. Now, you can use a rotary cutter if you want. I've never actually cut on T-shirt with a rotary cutter, so I'm not quite sure how that'll work. But here I'm just marking it. So that's marked. Go up here, do my 1 inch, the best that I can. You know, it doesn't need to be perfect unless you're a perfectionist, but I'm not a perfectionist. And I want to let you know I will not be telling you, I don't tell the price of my commissioned work. I'm going to go a little bit closer here. And all I'm trying to do is go beyond my line. Okay. And if you want to iron yours, your squares, that's fine. But keep in mind, it's all going to be quilted anyway, so it's just going to be up to you. And I will iron it once I get my fusible on it, because my fusible is just that. It's fusible. Now see, I can line up my lines here, and my line on the top is more straight than the line on the bottom. And then I can fix that. And my line did not come out here on the right hand side, so let's redo it. There we go. And then what I will do is go like this. Now let's look at this here. Hopefully all this is getting in the camera. I probably ought to be looking to see. And so what I'm doing is going like this. There we go. Okay, and that's it. Now we'll just cut it out. Take off the excess first. I probably could go ahead and cut that with a rotary cutter. Let me get my rotary cutter out here. Let's see. Now, that's a little bit too long, so we're going to go with a little bit smaller ruler. I think this one will fit. Yeah, there we go. I wished I had my backing fabric so we could do this whole first step, but I don't have it. And keep in mind that if when I get done here, if I were to just sit and iron this, that it's going to actually stretch out. That is why my back piece of fabric, which is my fusible here. Let's open this up. Now, if all your t-shirts are the exact same, that's going to be a lot easier than the way I'm doing it. Because remember now, all my t-shirts pieces, all my little squares are all going to be different sized. And you've got to keep that in mind when you go to do all the cutting. And you cannot go bigger. You need to actually go smaller when it comes to this. And I don't really want, I mean, it won't make a difference that I use the edge here, but I don't really want to use this selvage in there. Make sure I got it in there. See the selvage? I don't really want that in my, I mean, yeah, you can use it, but I don't really want to use it. So let's just go up here. There we go. Get rid of that. And that will stretch a little bit, by the way. So I'm going off of my shirt here. I get ready to cut it. Yeah, it's not on there straight, but that's okay. Let's go right there. And we're going to go, I need another ruler because that's too small. Move that, and I have no pressure. That's not going to work for me. So I'm going to need to turn it. There we go. I've already got the two lines where I've started cutting it, so there we go. Okay, now fold that back up. I'll take this over to the ironing, and I will just iron these two pieces together. You don't ever want any of your fabric not covering your stabilizer, okay? Keep that in mind. And always use a cloth of some sort so that when it comes time to adhere this, you're not getting that sticky stuff on your iron, okay? That's the main thing. All right, so we'll just go over here to the ironing board. I think you know how to iron it. It just goes like that. You make sure your sticky side is on the bottom, facing the fabric. All right, so I brought you up here to the ironing board so you can see the process. I've got this laid down. I haven't done anything to it. Make sure that your rough edge is down. Okay. Smooth it out. All right. And then here's my pressing sheet that I'm putting over the top. Now, pressing and ironing are two different things. Do not push your fabric. Just put it down on there. That's all you're doing. This is what pressing is. You put it over it, you move on to the next spot. You're pressing. All right? That glue will melt. You do not need to iron. This right here, if for some reason this piece was upside down, now it would be stuck to this and not my iron. And that's what you're looking for. You don't want it to be stuck to your iron. I don't think I have enough fusible batting. So I'm going to have to use regular batting, but I do think I have a bag of batting. Otherwise I'll have to get my roll out. But y'all don't need to watch me cut the batting. We're going to make the batting a little bit bigger, about an inch, and then the back fabric also about an inch, so that the front will be smaller. And then we're going to let this set and cool. And then, like I said, I have got to go to the store to buy my fabric, so we're going to end our video here. And then you can test to see if it stuck. All you got to do is pick it up and see it didn't fall off of that. So yes, it is stuck on there. Okay, there you go, our very first square. We're just going to set them aside, and I'll stack them all up. All right, so now I am down to the end, and I want to explain this real quick. So I went ahead and I put my fusible on here, got it down. I took this and laid it down, and this is where I'm trimming this piece up. So I took it. Now, since nothing is actually, you know, once you press your stabilizer on there, the top ends up stretching on you. So the squared isn't square any longer, or your rectangle, or whatever size you have. So I went to the top and I kind of lined it up the best I could and did a straight line. Went to the bottom and did the same thing. Now you go to the sides, and then what you do when you get to the side is you take your ruler and you measure it up to the bottom, because now that's a straight line since you've trimmed. And then this is just like if you were going to be straightening your fabric, you know, squaring it up, because you can see, let's make sure you can see here. All right, here's what I'm looking at. So watch how it narrows as I go up. It gets more narrow. That's what I'm going to trim off so that it's actually squared up, and I'm going to do it on the other side also. And then this block will be ready. Let me move it a little bit so you can see it and get the whole thing in the can. There we go. All right, so I'm going to measure it, and I'll go to, I'll try to get it as close to the edge, because it'll make the block bigger, that I can. There we go, right there. And then I just trim this off like that. And then I'll flip it over here to the other side. And don't worry if your stabilizer comes up a little bit. There's no big deal about that. You can always go iron it back down. Not iron it, press it. Remember, press. We're not ironing, we're pressing. Okay, now, when you're done, if you want to press the top part, keep in mind, you have to put your pressing cloth, whatever you're using, on top of this, because this is, oh gosh, I can't think of what this is called. It's not embroidered on there. It's like, I want to say vinyl, but I don't think it's vinyl. Do you know what this is called, Sherry? What this decal is? What the fabric or the...
Like felt?
No, it's not felt.
Okay.
But I'm going to tell you, it will literally stick to your iron. Your iron will melt it. That is why you want to put the sheet on the top when you decide to go ahead and press it, okay? Just to get all the whatever's out of it. So that's it. You feel it? It's like, I want to think it's plastic, but I'm not sure if it's vinyl.
It's not vinyl.
Okay.
It's, I know what it is.
All right. So I have them all done, and then on this one, I had to add this little part right here. I think y'all can see that. Well, all right, so that right there tells you you can't see it that well, but I had to add that to make it squared up. All right. I'm not adding anything to this fabric here. I did leave it with the pockets on, so I will put the pockets either at the top or the bottom, the right-hand corners. And I'm just showing you the shirts. Let me turn it so that you can see it better this way. These are the shirts. Or these were the shirts. Let's put it that way. They're not the shirts now. Let's turn this one that way. Well, like I said, a lot of them are black, which is fine. There's the orange one. And then this one here. And then the only thing I haven't done yet, which I'm going to do, and it's the last one to do, is this one here, which is right there. All right, and that's it. I've got them all prepped. Next time I come back, we're going to do the batting and the backing. Now, I will wash the backing before I put it together. I'm not washing the batting, but the backing I will, and the sashing I will. And right now, I'm still a little debatable on my sashing. I'm thinking about using red. Hand me that red right there, would you? That's on the table. I may use this sashing, or this color right here, because I know it's going to go with that black really well. And this might be the red I'm using. but I'm not sure the size of my sashing yet. I will cut a few strips, make my sashing, and then I'll decide what size to make it when I put all these together. And then we'll go from there. So go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you haven't subscribed. Go ahead and click on that little bell so you'll get notifications every time I put the video up that's going to be ongoing for this one right here, because I'm not doing it all at once. I'm literally doing it in pieces so that my video is not super duper long, and then you can just watch it and you can make it as you go along with me. Or you can wait till they're all done and then decide whether you want to do it or not. But keep in mind, you don't have to have adult t-shirts. Your t-shirt can be any. So if you've been keeping your child's t-shirts in grade school, you can use all of those. I mean, you'll have more t-shirts, but it doesn't make any difference. Okay? Thanks for watching, everybody, and welcome to all my new subscribers. Till next time, bye-bye.